Good morning, everybody. Pastor Stitch, Narrow Path Christian Church, BC, Bay City, Michigan. Welcome to the Biker Devotional. Today is January 21st, 2025, and we are looking at Proverbs chapter 21, verse 27. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 27, and it says this: "The sacrifice of a wicked person is detestable. How much more so when he brings it with ulterior motives?" You know, so often in our lives today, we don't think about sacrifice the same way the Israelites used to. The Israelites brought the best of their harvest, the top producing crop, the things that you would normally keep for yourself, as that's the thing that's going to create the greatest return later. I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to use other things that aren't quite as good for sacrifice. And they were required to give the best of the best to God because it was His. And all the way throughout the entirety of the Old Testament, it is brought up that if you are not living right, if you're not clean, that God won't accept a sacrifice even if you bring your best. You know, He also talks about the fact that He prefers that you bring Him good deeds rather than stuff, right? And I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking about the fact that we're going to have a prayer night at church tonight. We're gathering together. We're having community prayer. I don't call it corporate prayer. I call it community prayer because it should be about the community. Everybody should be invited, and they should be comfortable coming. And this is our first monthly meeting. We did one in January where we started this year with prayer. But this will be our first monthly meeting where we do it on the third Tuesday of the month. And often we talk about prayer as a sacrifice. And when you're giving of your time, you're giving your cherished time to God to come and commune with Him. That could be considered a sacrifice. In Revelations, prayer is called the incense that goes up before the altar. But when you come to God with an ulterior motive, it's worse than if you're just not living right. If you're not living right, God's not going to accept it. But if you come with the expectation that you're going to make Him do something for you, it's worse yet. So as I was reading that today, I realized that as I walk into church tonight to pray, as I spend time in prayer throughout the day, I need to remember that my motive is for the betterment of others and love of God. There's a reason the two greatest commandments are written the way they are. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus took that up a notch and said, a new command: love your neighbor the way I loved you. Recognizing that Jesus loved us because of His love for His Father. We don't think about prayer that way very often, do we? But that's the way we come to the altar. It's the only real option for sacrifice today. And we need to come with the best, but we also need to come with the right motive. To connect to God, to hear Him, to connect and pray for what He would have, not what we would have. Now, oftentimes my prayers for what I need and I want are in line with what He would have. How do I know? Spending a lot more time listening and a whole lot less time begging and pleading. If I'm begging and pleading, I probably got an ulterior motive. Here in the same proverb today, we're told that God weighs the heart. We make our plans, God weighs the heart. So let's think about that today as we interact with the world. How are we coming to the Lord? Are we bringing our sacrifice holy and pleasing to the Lord? Are we living righteously or striving to live right? And are we bringing our time, our efforts, our resources, our prayers to God with ulterior motives? Or are we doing it because we want to be close to God and we want to serve Him? Something to think about today. Guys, I love y'all. Stay warm. I don't know where you're at, but here it's like 2 degrees, if that. My furnaces have been running almost 24/7 for the last couple of days, and we're got a few more days of this cold to deal with. It is cold outside, and it's starting to get cold inside. Be lifting up those who are not able to have a home of their own with heat. There are individuals that are enduring this in really difficult situations. Some have chosen to be there. I understand that. But be praying that God meets them where they're at, warms their spirit, their minds, and puts somebody in front of them that maybe even just gives them a hot cup of coffee to warm them from the inside out. Guys, I love y'all. Hope you have a great day. God bless.